understand why something small can completely unravel one person while another person moves through even major loss, like it's nothing? Why maybe your friend brushes off something that leaves you spiraling, or the other way around? It's not about strength, it's actually about how your nervous system perceives threat. And understanding that one small shift changes everything. Today, we're exploring a question that comes up all the time in trauma recovery spaces. Why do people react so differently to trauma? Why does one person fall apart over something seemingly small while another person remains calm in the face of crisis? But here's the thing. As Dr. Gabor Mate says, trauma isn't what happens to you, it's what happened inside as a result of what happened to you. Let that sink in. Trauma is not the event. Trauma is not what happened to you, it's what happened inside as a result. Trauma is about your internal experience, your body's response, your nervous system's interpretation of threat and overwhelm. Annie came in to say hi. Hi there, I'm Amy Huggins. I guide people through the messy, beautiful, and certainly misunderstood process of reconnecting to themselves, body, mind, and spirit, especially after trauma. And as you can see, Annie walking in the background, she sits in on many of my conversations with clients and students. But more importantly, I'm someone who gets what it means to feel like you're doing everything right and still wondering why it doesn't feel quite right inside and why your life might not be reflecting all of the hard work you're doing. So let's talk about that. You and I could go through the exact same experience and our bodies might respond in completely different ways. One of us might collapse into shame or panic, and the other might be totally fine. That doesn't make one of us stronger or weaker. It just means that our nervous systems are carrying different histories. The nervous system does not ask, is this serious enough to count as trauma? That's a society question, right? The nervous system asks, am I safe? Can I handle this? Is there support? And if the answer is no, if the answer internally feels like no, then the experience may be stored as trauma regardless of how big or small it looks from the outside. This is where compassion becomes everything. Someone who grew up with safety and emotional support might handle tough situations with relative ease. But for someone raised in chaos or emotional neglect, even a good or a fun situation can feel overwhelming. Think about surprises. Some people love surprises and others are totally thrown off by them. Same event, two very different responses. But that doesn't make anyone fragile, it makes us human. Our reactions are shaped by the meaning, the internal meaning our nervous system makes, not our brain. This isn't something we can think our way through. This isn't a choice we can make, just choose differently. Our reactions are shaped by the internal meaning that our nervous system makes, not by the seeming magnitude of the event. So here's an example. Being left out of a group chat can feel like nothing to one person. I think that probably many people being left out of a group chat, they wouldn't even think anything about it, right? But for someone with a history of exclusion or abandonment, it can bring up deep pain. Their nervous system might interpret it as, I don't belong. I'm not wanted. We're in danger. On the flip side, anyone added to a group chat someone being added to a group chat might feel that as a boundary violation if they grew up with the history of control or enmeshment. Their system might interpret it as my space is not safe. I'm being pulled into something without choice. Even, to give a third example, being asked if you want to be added into the group chat might be triggering for someone with a strong fawn or people-pleasing response. If part of them doesn't know how to say no, then even a considerate question and a considerate and thoughtful invitation can land as pressure. This is why we can't rank trauma like a competition. It's not a hierarchy. If you've ever heard of big T trauma versus little t trauma, they're all equally real to the nervous system. It's not that one is more traumatic or less traumatic just because it's, quote, a big T or a little t. It's about the load your system is carrying and the resources that you have access to in the moment. We might have more resources. We actually always have more resources in there than we realize. But if we don't have access to them in the moment, then we increase the prevalence of trauma happening. When we're trying to heal, one of the most powerful things that we can do is meet ourselves where we are. Not where we wish we were, not where we think we should be, but here, right now, with honesty and self-compassion and curiosity. When we notice ourselves judging someone else's response or judging our own response, it's often a cue that our nervous system, from our nervous system, that something needs care, something needs attention. There's a need and they're not being met. And so, how can we show up to meet that need in a different way, in a better way? The more we understand how the nervous system works, the less we pathologize pain, our own and others. We begin to see trauma not as a collection of dramatic events, but as what happens when someone is overwhelmed and undersupported. From that place, we begin to heal gently, sustainably, and at a pace that feels safe to the nervous system. If what I'm sharing brings up any emotion for you or even resistance, that's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. You're here learning to see this through a new lens, and it takes time and it takes care. If you want to go deeper, check out the show notes for a few prompts that you can reflect on. Thank you for being here. If this resonated, I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel and keep walking this path with me because you deserve a life that feels like home, and we're here building that together.